Alright guys, what's up? My name is Kiyoki and I'm here to show you a short little quick start guide to Valheim and how to optimally get started in one of the best ways possible. So here you have my normal save where I've gone pretty far myself. We're going to be making a new character and we're going to call him Tube Boy. Perfect. Now he's going to have probably, yeah, a little bit of a more sassy hair, yeah, and a big beard. We're gonna make it, yeah, perfect. Tube Boy is here. Now we're gonna start a new world. This is the world seed we're starting on. It's completely random. I have no idea what it's gonna be, so we're gonna go ahead and hit done on that. No server. Nopetopia is where I live on my main character, but we're doing this for the purpose of kind of showing you guys how to get started, some cool tips and ideas for where to build your base and how big to build your base, what items you should keep at the beginning to really help you along. Perfect. So now we are in the game, getting Dark Souls dropped off right into our randomly generated world. We're going to go ahead and see what we can work with. I think the first thing we're probably going to have to do is build a shelter, which means we just got to gather some resources. It's fairly simple gathering resources in this game. The main things you're going to want to focus on immediately, because you're just going to have your fists are definitely going to be just bushes to punch. Get the small amount of wood you can, stone, so you can build that stone axe right away and get chopping on trees. It's always interesting playing a new map, because you'll always get some random seed. It looks like we're just flying directly through some trees. It's already raining, so that means, A, we have our first debuff, which is going to be wet, as you can see up there, which is going to drastically change our stamina regeneration. This is Hugin. He is the tutorial bird, but you will refer to me as your Hugin for this video. So this is where Eikthyr is, or whatever his name is. Actually, he's relatively close for where we started. Yeah, that's nice. We are in the Meadows biome, so it's actually not that bad. Ooh. Perfect. This is step one, ladies and gentlemen, is gathering. Looks like you've already seen we can make rag tunics. We've got a little bit of that. Our first thing we're going to want to do is just gather a ton of wood. Just to build the axe. It actually takes quite a while. Once you level up a little further down the line, you'll be able to like haul through this. But for right now, this is where we're at. I wanted to start a new character so I wouldn't be like showing you guys like, hey, this is how you do this thing. But you know, if you were my level, it would be a lot faster. I want to show you guys like the actual experience starting out from ground zero. So here we go, just chopping all the trees down with our fist, Minecrafting the crud out of those trees. Perfect. We got our club now. Our main goal is to most likely build the hammer first and foremost. We actually don't learn the recipes until we're holding the item itself, so a lot of the times you might be confused as to why we can't actually craft too much besides the club and the torch. That's because, get out of my way, Hugin. That's because we needed to pick up a rock for the first time. I also wanted to start a new character too, because I've seen other people show their inventories like and spoil a lot. And I'm trying not to like spoil too much for you, but at the same time like giving you the proper instructions on what to build and how to get there. So bam, we got our hammer, which is going to be used to craft campfires and walls and everything like that. Workbenches, cooking stations. Super important. You're going to be using those all the time. So it looks like we have a basic amount of gear. The water's right there, which is nice. I'd like to kind of get us by Eikthyr, or however you pronounce the deer name, because we kind of need that. So we're going to go up there, get kind of close. Our stone axe should be ready too, huh? Perfect. So here's that first thing you guys are going to see is wood cutting now as a skill we unlocked, and we're going to be using that on all of these beech trees. Takes a while, but the more you level up, the quicker you'll do it. Another tip I like to give is that when you're chopping down these trees, they fall after a while, so you'll see right here. So this falls. Sometimes it doesn't fall in the direction you want, but if you can get it, like you just saw, to land on other things, you can totally use it to your advantage and chop down trees even quicker. Sometimes it won't happen. I'd also be aware that you could totally just crush yourself. You guys are gonna watch this on fast forward, hopefully, as I chop these trees and get all the supplies. So let's go do this.
Hey, I stream this game on Twitch.
you want to follow me on there and watch me play live, I'll leave the link in the description. Shh, I was never here. So here's our first thing you guys are going to notice is these raspberry bushes, which are going to be huge for not only obviously healing and eating, which we can eat right now by just right clicking on it or putting it on our action bar, but they're also really important for later down the line. So I would suggest whenever you see raspberries, blueberries, like any of the berries or any of the like consumables basically you'll run like across in the world, I would keep an eye out for those and always take those. Those are super important. There's another resource, these red mushrooms, also very important. A couple recipes have those as well. You'll notice too with these are birch trees, not beech trees. They're too hard. Unfortunately, you can't chop those down, just where we are at right now. Later on down the line, you will be able to. I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. This is actually the first altar, so I'm glad we found it quickly, and it was close, because our spawn was right there. Eikthyr is right here, which is going to be the first boss we fight, which is really important to get because we'll get a buff from him that'll really help us out. So, oh, looks like we ran into a lot of boars right here, which is huge. That'll help us out a ton if we could get rid of all these guys. All of these leather scraps will really help us out. Now, once again, the world seeds are totally random, so just be careful. I'm also forgetting that I'm so used to playing on my high level character that I totally almost just died from that. But it's fine for right now. We're okay. So we still have a fair amount of food. I'm going to eat one of the mushrooms to kind of get my stamina bar even higher. And just continue to gather wood until our inventory reaches its max capacity. We're about 199 right now, so we could do with a little more. Just that way we don't have to leave and come back and build everything all over again. Alright. So we're going to build our first house actually right about, this looks like a good spot, right next to Eikthyr, just so we can get it done. It's really important to just start somewhere close to Eikthyr just because you'll be able to quickly do this. So the thing I'm building right now, this is called the cooking station. This is where you cook your meat. If you just press F, I have mine bound to F, it's usually E, but if you press F to cook your items, the things will cook, and then you'll see them go in 2 stages. So basically, this is when they're raw, and they're still cooking, and then you'll hear a sizzle. And when you hear the sizzle, you're going to want to go ahead and take the meat. If you let it sit for longer than that, they'll burn and become coal. It is a good way to get coal early on, but coal isn't really super useful right away. So we're just going to, while that meat's cooking, we're just going to keep our ears, like, on alert. Just make sure we can hear that when it finishes. So bam, we got the workbench now. Hugin's gonna come bother us. We're gonna talk to him and tell him we don't want to talk about anything right now. Now, a workbench needs a roof, the crafting station. So the best way to circumvent this and actually get it done quicker is I like to take a wall, put it like that. And you take one of these, or you take one of these. Put one right there. Oh, we have that angled. Right there. And right there. Don't be too afraid about breaking materials too. If you guys haven't noticed already, I'm getting the wood immediately back as soon as I use it. And there we go. Now we can use the workbench, which is huge. So this is where we're going to repair all of our gear. It's free to do that, so don't be afraid to just mash that. And then this is where we're going to start getting better items. So we have leather scraps, obviously. One of the first things that I would suggest crafting, if you can get it, like I got lucky with all those boars, is the crude bow. But for right now, we're just going to focus on the things we can. So it looks like we can craft a shield, which is nice. That's going to help out a lot. So we're going to definitely craft a shield. I like to keep the shield on 2. Oh, the meat was burned, so there's the coal for you guys. Just, as I say, don't forget to not forget about it. I immediately forget about it. Oh well. Okay, so now we're going to start with a basic house. We don't want to do anything too complicated right now because we don't have a lot of the tools we need in order to make it like even ground. You'll need the hoe for that, but we can't actually craft that right now. So what we want to do is just build a basic shelter and a bed so we can have somewhere to stay. I like to keep it, I want to keep it super simple this time. I don't want to do anything super complicated. You guys are totally free to make whatever crazy base you want. This is just a good way to get started and get your first items and gear. That way you can kind of get into the nitty-gritty of this game. Kind of get into the big gameplay loop. So we're just going to go for a basic shelter. Something not too complicated. I like to use the thatch roof corners. Obviously on the corners. But if you use the high-rise ones, you actually don't. A lot of people like to build 2 roofs up. 2 walls up. I like to just do this. This is super easy. Super quick. Just put a roof on everything. And bam. Now you see in the top right we have comfort level 3. And shelter and fire. Because our fire is right next to us. You can put the fire inside, but it causes a smoked effect. And that smoked effect will actually screw you up a lot more. Because you'll start taking slow tick damage. So now we're going to be crafting a bed. Which is going to let us have our spawn point. Exactly like how Minecraft is. We know. We're going to claim the bed. Now we got 2 boys' bed. And we can sleep. Oh my gosh, Yugen. I guess you're in the bed with me. Jesus. Alright guys, so we rested. It is the first day out. We are here. This is our humble abode in our fire. Our workbench too. Just covered by a small bit of roof in order to repair our gear. Now, over here at the Mystical Altar for Eikthyr, we're going to need basically 2 things. Which is the 2 deer trophies, which we get from defeating and killing deer. Which you won't get all the time. It's kind of a random drop, so we're going to focus on that. The ways we could do it is getting a bow and arrows, or sneaking up and attacking it. For right now, we're going to leave our base, and as you'll see in the top right corner of the map, we have a bed icon there. But if we want to, you can use these fun little icons and double-click where your home is, and then I'll just go ahead and call it home. And bam. Now, if we ever move our spawn point, at least we know we have a home here. You can do the same with all over the map. It's a great way to mark resources, caves, like anything like that. Okay, so now we're going to be hunting boar for leather scrap, as well as hunting deer for the deer trophies. So let's see which ones we find first. Looks like we found deer, but immediately ran away. So, unfortunately, it's on to another one. At least until we can find those boar. Alright guys, we actually made our base pretty close to the shore, which is a good thing because now we have these necks we can hunt. These necks give you tails, which you can also cook. Very important. So we're going to kill a couple of these and get their tails. So that's also going to give us a food buff. Now you can eat 3 things at any given time, and obviously the cooked meat and the cooked tail are going to be some of the best ones so far right off the get-go. So if I would recommend coming here, or to anywhere basically that you would start, going to the water, killing a couple necks, killing a couple boar and deer, trying to get as much meat and then 1 fruit as you can. What I just picked up was flint. You can only find it by the waters. This is another resource we're going to want to farm up real quick, because it's very important at the beginning of the game. It's helpful to start by your boss that you're going to be at, and then also go into a place where you can farm certain resources. The meadows are going to be known for having all these necks by the water, as well as flint. So I'm just going to run up and down the river, basically, look around, try to gather as much as I can. Flint's going to be super important. To get some necktails along the way, get 2 birds with 1 stone. 1 flint. Oh, and here we are. We found our first boar. Actually, we found a couple. It looks like the other one's going to start running. You want to make sure that you let them explode after you kill them. So you can go ahead and get everything they drop, including the leather scraps. You're seeing that they are dropping the boar trophies as well. Unfortunately, those aren't going to help us right now. So we got 6 out of 10, or 6 out of 8 leather scraps that we need. 2 more boars and it should do. We just gotta find those guys. Where could they be? Alright guys, here we go. It looks like we ran into the mother lode. We're gonna go ahead and get as many of these boars as we can take. I don't want them running, so I'm gonna try to go after as many as I can. We want to gather as much of this as we can. Perfect. So that was a ton of light leather, which is huge for us. These leather scraps are really going to come in handy. You've also noticed, guys, that I keep putting away my item. If you press R, it's a bad habit of mine where I keep pressing 1. But if you press R while you have your item, it'll put it away so you can run faster. And then if you press R again, you'll bring it out. So basically, like, say I have my shield and club out. If I press R, it'll put it behind me so I can run at full speed. You have a movement speed penalty when you have your weapons in your hands, usually. So perfect. Let's go ahead and check where our home marker is. Let's go run on home. Remember too, when you guys are back, to always repair your items. That's always super important. So as we're going to enter our little house, we're going to go ahead and make our first chest. That way we can store some of the items we've been picking up that we don't want to carry, that maybe is giving us a little too much carry weight. I'm going to go ahead and drop a lot of the pointless things. I want to keep a lot of the important things on me for right now, just so I can craft easily when I need to. Perfect. Here we go with this. We're going to go ahead and make repair. Looks like we need 10 more wood to make the crude bow, so we're going to go ahead and chop down a tree real quick. Alright guys, we're back. I actually noticed too, it's now saying the station is too exposed when it wasn't before. If that ever happens to you guys, the easiest way to do that is just cover it up. We're going to go ahead and build some extra walls around this thing, just to make sure it's completely covered. And there we go. Now perfect, we're going to go ahead and get us the crude bow, as well as some wood arrows. And there we go. Making some wood arrows real quick. I'm just going to make 40 for right now. I don't want to use all of my wood. And you're going to want to right click those to equip them. I'm also going to make the flint axe. Which is going to help out a lot because it's going to be a better axe than the one we currently have. Put that one on the side. We also, if you guys want for armor, just because we can, because we have the material now, we can go ahead and craft a rag pants to give us that one more armor. Since, you know, we got a lot of extra. And pants are always important. Perfect. Now we got 2 deer hide, but we need trophies, unfortunately. Another thing you guys might want to know is if you hold control and click, you'll be throwing the whole stack. If you shift and click, you'll be splitting the stack. So, let's hunt us some deer. Now the first thing you guys are going to know about this bow is that the drop off is absolutely insane because it's the first bow you're going to get. It's going to put a lot of people off from wanting to use the bow, but I promise you it's worth it. You just want to aim high all the time. It's kind of hard to shoot. There we go. There's 1. There's 2. And see if we get a trophy maybe. There's our first trophy. Alright guys. So we've been hunting into the night for deer. We've actually missed a couple of shots. We've been struggling to find these last few ones we need for that trophy. But you'll notice that now it's nighttime, so now we're cold. That also applies a debuff. That is going to reduce our stamina. So cold is going to be a real struggle for us right now because of our stamina regen going down, especially when the bow and our sprint are both tied to our stamina. So we're just going to kind of take it easy, lurk around in the night, look for the last few deer we need, and then kind of make our way back to the altar. I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so we went ahead and got that last trophy, thankfully. It took us long enough, but we finally got it. We're going to go ahead and make our way home and sleep for the rest of the night, hopefully. Go ahead and eat to top off our hunger bar on the left, bottom left. We're going to just sprint all the way home. So we're just going to cook up some food for the night. Repair. So what we just crafted was a hoe. I know. But what we can actually do with it is level the ground around us, which is super cool if you're like into, you know, building a little base and getting a bunch of stuff going. You can actually build a little plot of land for yourself now. Especially too, if you have this like, so a lot of people have this like grass inside their base and you want to get rid of it. The best way to do it is going to be to break part of the wood. And then just go ahead and level the ground. And then just go ahead and put back that piece of wood and boom. Alright guys, so we got our last deer trophy. We've organized our storage, put everything away that we needed to. We're now just cooking some meat real quick to get the buffs, as well as cooking some tails. That way we can kind of maximize our health bar and stamina bar for this fight. I'm going to be using the club as well as the shield. Those two, a sword and shield type of, you know, setup seems to go well with me the best. I tend to use those the most. Another thing I'd be aware of is definitely take a lot of arrows into this. Kiting and just hitting enemies is definitely one of like the easiest ways to get all this done. Alright guys, as you can see, we're just about ready for the fight. It's morning. I've crafted some arrows while I was waiting for my health meter to start blinking, which means I need to eat again. I'm actually going to replace those two down there. One with the lizard tail, which is going to, as you see, give me a big old buff. And then if you look at both of them, you're going to see that the mushroom does a little bit of health and a lot of bit of stamina and 1 HP per tick. As well as this. So you can see this is 15 health, 20 stamina. This has 10 health, 20 stamina. So the mushrooms are actually better for this situation. So we're going to go ahead and eat the mushroom. And now we just want to wait. It helps with your healing if you're resting. So I'm just going to sit in here real quick. Kind of let the healing tick go faster. And then boom. Now we're ready to go see Eikthyr and get this fight going. So we're going to equip the deer heads onto our sidebar so we can just drop them off and offer the item. And we're going to start this fight and see how we fare. So a couple things to note about this boss is that he's pretty strong. He has a couple attacks that AoE that are going to be quite a struggle to get through. For the most part, if he spawns away from you like that, it's best to just open up with arrows. As you can see, the arrows are already doing a ton of damage. I'm just going to, you know, get hit. Don't mind it too much. I have a lot of health. If you hold block and press space, you're going to dodge roll. It's going to help a lot. We're just kiting them around, kind of using up the arrows as we can. You can see the arrows are doing a ton of damage, so we're just going to roll, get away from that. Go ahead and hit them a couple more times. Hit them, roll. Oh, it looks like we blocked that while rolling. So now we're going to switch to hand-to-hand, just to kind of hold on to it. I come after him, hit him a few times. Block that, hit him a few times. Let our stamina recharge, keep our shield up. Kind of bait him into attacks. It's kind of the same ways you'd fight a Dark Souls boss almost. Just stay close to him if you're going to fight him hand to hand. Block where you can. Get your hit in. Block the attack, get your hits in. You see I parried that one if you heard correctly, but it actually didn't do anything. This boss you really can't parry. So there's that block. We're still getting the lightning debuff, unfortunately. But as you can see, our passive healing on top of just our overall damage output and our shield is just completely negating almost everything this guy's throwing at us. See, even those lightning attacks aren't really doing much. It's really more of an intimidating boss than anything. I'm getting hit a ton, as you guys can see. It's really not doing much to me. I'd use the rocks where you could, but overall, it's really an easy fight if you just come in prepared. A lot of people like to wait and grind out this, but I would always suggest just getting this guy first, almost as quickly as you can. And there we go. That's Eikthyr. Let's go ahead and take everything he drops for us when he explodes. It's going to be the Eikthyr trophy, as well as the hard antler, which is very important for getting the pickaxe. So we're going to go over here, and I believe we have enough? Yeah, we do. We do have enough, so we're going to go ahead and just craft that right away. It's important that we have a pickaxe on us. That's going to help with ore, but that's also going to help with terraforming. As you can see, if we just use the pickaxe, it's going to just dig into the ground. So I'd be careful where you use it, because you could definitely just put holes all around your map. For the most part, though, it's not that bad. So let's go ahead and run back to the meadows. The meadows altar. Alright, guys, we're here. And just like that, we've gotten Eikthyr. Now, you're going to want to put Eikthyr on this, as well as activate. And that's going to give you your first Forsaken power. Now, this buff is actually going to help you a ton. On most keyboards, it's F. But if you rebound the keys like I did, to get F to be used and pick up, I just rebounded to E. So now you're going to see when you check your status, which is right here. You have rested, which is giving us that regen right now, but you also have the selected Forsaken Power Eikthyr, which is your ability to run and jump is improved. And then you can see the reduction of stamina usage and run usage. So we're going to go ahead now and use it. just going to activate the buff. You can see at the top right, it gives us 5 minutes. If you're playing co-op, it actually applies it to anyone who's near you, which is super helpful. You can have multiple people. And now you can see that I'm barely using any stamina when I run. It's just slowly going down. And we're going to use that to our advantage because now we're looking for the Black Forest, which is going to be the next step up. Alright, guys. So we've arrived at the Black Forest. It took us quite a bit of time. We actually ran into a little bit of a snag in looking for it, and I went every direction but the direction we were supposed to go. We're just finishing off these gray dwarves before we go in. We're actually not going to want to go in right away. The first thing you're going to want to do is build another base as well as another bed so you have a spawn point. The good thing about the area I'm in right now, actually, is that it's close to the water, and that's a really big, important part about making a base, at least for me. There's boats, obviously, you can make in the game, if you haven't noticed, by looking at your own crafting menu, such as this, that all you need is a workbench, and then bam, you can swim, you can go around on the water. There's also just different upgrades throughout the whole game, but a really important part of this is going to be sailing. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to make another base. Luckily, we have everything we need. So the first thing we're obviously going to do is just fire. That way we have a little bit of fire to keep us warm throughout the night. We're going to workbench. That way we can build in the select area that the workbench provides. If you guys look, you'll see this ring around us. Usually if I'm building something, so see that ring? That's the entirety of what the workbench covers. You could just put multiple workbenches all up and down this thing, or you could just keep, you know, smashing the workbench and then putting in a new one. So now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to level the ground. Make sure we have a nice even surface to build our house on. Now, I don't want too big of a house, but I'm definitely going to just break down all of these fences. And then you guys are going to watch me fast forward build this, just so we can kind of get a house going and get on to the next part. Alright guys, we now have a small shelter located on the coast by the water, as well as right in front of the Black Forest, which is going to be very important for us. So as you can see when you come inside, what I did was I built a tall roof. So you'll notice that when you're in these type of rooms and you light a fire on the inside, the smoke tends to fill whatever is like the highest area. So if you're in a room that only has like this first wall set up and then a roof over it, you're gonna smoke yourself out. So what this does is it lets all the smoke stay above you while you can still keep the warmth and everything while cooking, having a fire inside. You'll also notice that these chests are stacked on top of each other. What you want to do, if you ever want to do this, is you're gonna go ahead and take one of these little panels and just put it right above the first chest. Like you can see it's snapping onto one right now, and then you just put a chest on top and then boom, you can double your storage up. As you can see, I just have like some basic materials in there, stuff to get started. And then the workbench, basically I don't have anything special made yet, but I have repaired all my gear. Kind of set my new spawn point. I'm gonna go ahead and press space and zoom in. You can see I died here because I was fighting a bunch of gray dwarves. We're just gonna call it home 2. Perfect. Alright, listen. I was gonna write something at the end of this and say something, and I really it just doesn't feel like me to do that. So thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you guys. I hope that you loved it. I hope that it helped you in some way with Valheim. The game's been absolutely amazing. I love it. If you guys want to see more like this, if you want to see a Black Forest episode, anything like that, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. Just let me know what's going on. I'd love some feedback. This is one of my first videos doing this, so I really have no idea what I'm doing here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for even taking the time to watch the video. And if you made it this far, for real, I love that. That's amazing. I'm also live on Twitch. I stream this game all the time, so if you guys want to see that, go ahead and consider following me on Twitch. I'll leave the link in the description. Appreciate you guys. Later, boys.